2025 meeting of the Greensboro City Council. We are in the Katie Dorset Council Chamber. Let the record reflect that all council members are in attendance. We will begin tonight's meeting with a moment of silence. Thank you. Mrs. Hoffman, would you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please silence any and all electronic devices. If you must make or receive a phone call, kindly do so from outside the chamber. The City of Greensboro strongly encourages resident input at our meetings. It is the goal of the City Council that the Katie Dorset Council Chamber is a welcoming and safe space for all community members. In order to speak at tonight's meeting, individuals must sign up to speak by 6 p.m. If you signed up to speak online, you must let the courier know that you are in attendance. Speakers may address specific consent or business agenda items, with up to 3 minutes allocated for their remarks. Zoning matters, there is a 15-minute presentation for both the proponents and the opponents of the rezoning and a 5-minute rebuttal. The speakers cannot relinquish their time to others, and the speaker order is determined by the presiding officer. All speakers are expected to adhere to the rules of decorum. Any inappropriate or disruptive behavior will result in an immediate removal from the meeting. Removal will result in a 3-month suspension from in-person participation. A second violation following the initial suspension will result in a 6-month suspension. A third violation or any instance involving physical altercations will lead to a 12-month suspension and may also result in criminal charges. Individuals who are suspended will still have an option of participating virtually via Zoom, ensuring their right to free speech. By statute, council members must vote on all items unless there is a direct financial interest or if they serve on a board of a nonprofit receiving funding from the city. All votes will be moved and seconded, and the presiding officer will announce the vote total. We do have a consent agenda for items G1 through G15, which are a grouping of agenda items that are voted on with one single vote to expedite what is believed to be routine and non-controversial. Any council members may withdraw an item from the consent agenda due to a conflict of interest or for the purpose of voting no. Items removed from the consent agenda for discussion will be placed on the next business meeting agenda. Tonight's meeting does include closed captioning. Depending on the length of the meeting, we may take a short recess around 7:30. I do want to take this opportunity just to recognize a group of young women we have in the audience today, the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. We're so happy that you are here. The Alpha Phi chapter. I believe I got that right? I did. Good. Ladies, we're here. We're happy you're here to learn more about the way that government works for you. If you have any questions, we'd love to talk to you after the meeting or at any other time. Thank you so much for being here. Yes. And I do want to recognize Chancellor Martin. It is so nice to have you back in our chambers. I do think the item you're here for may be getting postponed, but I'll get to that in a moment. But thank you so much. It's great to see you. The applicant has requested to continue H1 through H3. H1 is a public hearing for an ordinance annexing territory into the corporate limits for properties located at portions of 3725 and 3739 and all of 3751 McConnell Road, 35.68 acres, Mary Bell Tuttle and others. And item H2, a public hearing for an ordinance for original zoning for portions of 3725 and 3739 and all of 3751 McConnell Road, Amanda Hodiern for Mary Bell Tuttle, Neil C. Tuttle, and others. And item H3, a public hearing for an ordinance for original zoning for a portion of McConnell Road right-of-way for the City of Greensboro. This is to be continued to October 21 City Council meeting with no further advertising. Do I have a motion? Moved by
Second.
Mrs. Hoffman. No, I was sitting right next to her. Yeah, we haven't used that in a long time. So, we have a motion from Mrs. Hoffman, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. All in favor, say aye. Aye. That passes unanimously. Can you hear Mrs. Hightower on her microphone?
Sorry, I purposely did that.
Well, Hugh, you're going to have to share your mic. Oh, boy. Yes.
Y'all can't interrupt each other.
All right. Now we have we have two more requests to be continued items, H7, H8, and H9. H7 is a public hearing for an ordinance annexing territory into the corporate limits for properties located on McConnell Road and Old School Road and portions of McConnell Road and Clapp Farm Road right-of-way, 109.55 acres, Esther Nancy and others. And item H6, a public hearing for an ordinance for original zoning for properties on McConnell Road and Old School Road, Amanda Hodiern for Esther Irby Revocable Trust and others. And item H9, a public hearing for an ordinance for original zoning for portions of McConnell Road and Clapp Farms right-of-way, City of Greensboro. This will be continued to the October 21st City Council meeting without further advertising. Do I have a motion?
Move the item.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Hightower and seconded by Mr. Holston. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. And we have another continuance, which are items H14 through H19. H14 is a public hearing for an ordinance annexing territory into the corporate limits for properties located at Banning Road, Centerfold Road, Oak Ridge Road, and others, 763 acres, Tom Terrell, on behalf of David Couch and others. Item H15, a public hearing for an ordinance annexing territory into the corporate limits for the property located at 3220 Pleasant Ridge Road, 0.99 acres, Tom Terrell on behalf of David F. Couch for Summerfield Real Estate Holdings, LLC. And item H16, a public hearing for an ordinance annexing territory into the corporate limits for the property located at 6935 Summerfield Road, 4.16 acres, Tom Terrell on behalf of David Couch. And item H17, a public hearing for an ordinance annexing territory into the corporate limits for properties located at 7650 and 7652 DeBow Road, 38.59 acres, Tom Terrell on behalf of David F. Couch and Summerfield Real Estate Holdings, LLC. And item H18, a public hearing for an ordinance annexing territory into the corporate limits for properties located on Oak Ridge Road, Khaki Place, and DeBow Road, 106.64 acres, Tom Terrell on behalf of David F. Couch for various LLCs. And item H19, a public hearing for an ordinance for original zoning for properties on Banning Road, Centerfield Road, Meadowview Drive, and others, Tom Terrell for David F. Couch and various LLCs. We need a motion moved by Mrs. Hoffman, seconded for Mayor Pro Tem. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? So now we have...
Madam Mayor, on H1 through H3, I think you said that was going to be continued without advertising.
Yes.
I think that needs to be advertised because that's been continued since February.
You think, I'm sorry, say that again?
It needs to be continued with advertising. We need to re-advertise that. It's been continued since February.
That's fine, as long as it gets advertised with, so can we just amend that to not say without further advertising? Okay,
Can I ask a question, Madam Mayor?
sure.
Why does it keep getting continued? It's on every agenda we have every business month.
She was here a second ago.
Issues out between the two parties. So the first one she read was H1 through H3, and then H7 through H9. I think it was 7 through 9 or 6 through 9. But it's two separate entities, but they are trying to work together because of the project. They're trying to get some things worked out. So that's why. It's kind of a complicated deal. I wish Amanda was here because I talked to her earlier today about it as well. And so they're going to try to get it done in October
Okay.
as well.
Well, if they don't have it done, don't put it on H10.
Well, we have to put it back on October because we've just said we would.
Yeah.
But at that point, if they can't get things maybe together by the end of October, it might be good for them to just pause the project and
Right.
bring it back at a later date.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I think that is part of what their thought process is. If they can't get it resolved by October, then it will be time for some rework,
Yes.
to do some other things.
Thank you. Now, we have no ceremonial or presentation items, so we move forward to the consent agenda, which are items G1 through G15.
Madam Mayor,
Well, wait, Hugh, Hugh? What
yes,
was-
I request that we pull item G14 from the consent agenda for the purpose of me recusing myself from that agenda item.
And that was the budget adjustments,
Yes,
G14.
G14.
And that is to recuse.
And Madam Mayor, I think Dr. Wells wants to pull G1 and G2.
I was just on the consent agenda, the items that I thought were going to be on the consent agenda.
They've been moved, yes.
Oh, did we move them up? Okay.
Yes, we did.
Okay. good.
So, do I have a motion and a second for Tammy? Okay.
Yes, the item G12, I've received some calls about it, and I think it would be helpful if Assistant City Manager Harold kind of explained the issue surrounding graffiti and what's changing.
Sure, I'd be glad to. So currently, graffiti ordinances sit in both Chapter 17, which deals with nuisances, and Chapter 18, which deals with housing and neighborhood development. It can be a little confusing when we try to enforce. So what we've done is we've streamlined the process by putting all of the graffiti ordinances under the nuisance section, which is Chapter 17. It's enforced by code enforcement. The other change that we made is now we ask property owners to fix graffiti. If they don't, they're fined $50. We are changing that to be more in line with how code enforcement charges for nuisances, which is if they go and correct it, then they actually charge you the cost of remediation plus 10% to cover administrative costs. So it's a pretty minor change, but we are needing to enforce graffiti in a different way.
You know, years ago when that graffiti ordinance first went into effect, one step further was using that as an opportunity with some of their youth who they were trying to divert out of the criminal justice system, that it was a way of doing community service. And I don't know if we could go back to one step further and talk to them about that, or what other organizations could also come out and help clean some of this graffiti, because it is a shame that it falls on the back of the business owner when he is the victim of the graffiti. It would be good if maybe we could find ways to help him get that removed.
Sure, we'll look at that. Thank you.
So do I have a motion for the consent agenda minus G14, moved by Dr. Wells, seconded by Ms. Pinder? Council, please vote. Is Mr. Hartzman here? Because he actually wanted to speak on one of those items. No, okay. Mine, okay.
None of us do.
All right, now it's up, okay.
I was starting to feel some kind of way. Oh,
And that passes 9-0. Item G14, which Mr. Holston is recused from, are budget adjustments approved by the budget officer 8/26/25 through 9/8/25.
Do I need to request to be recused, or is it automatic?
It's because he's working for a nonprofit, so all he has to say is, I'm recusing. We
I'm
don't have to
recusing
vote.
myself
Yes.
from
So that was moved.
item G14.
Not when it comes to the nonprofit ordinance. So I have a motion by Mr. Matheny, seconded by Mrs. Thurm. Council, please vote. And that passes 8-0. We now move on to our public hearing portion of our agenda. We'll start with H4 through H6. Item H4 is a public hearing for an ordinance annexing territory into the corporate limits for properties located at 5511 Burlington Road and a portion of Burlington Road right-of-way, 2.85 acres, Marjalot Singh AR General, Inc., and others. And item H5, a public hearing for an ordinance for original zoning for property at 5511 Burlington Road. I know I've said this name wrong. Marjalot Singh of AR General. And item H6, a public hearing for an ordinance for original zoning for a portion of Burlington Road right-of-way for the City of Greensboro. Do we have speakers on this item? We do have a speaker in favor of this item. Mr. Kirkman, if you would like to give a brief overview.
Yes, and since City Council saw this, I will keep it very brief since you saw it last month. Basically, again, this is a request to annex property on Burlington Road as well as an additional piece of right-of-way associated with that. This is across from existing city limits. This is the public distribution center to the south that's zoned LI. Of interest to the council specifically, the applicant is requesting a change to the conditions that limit additional uses. So I'm going to read that additional restrictions into the record for council to approve. Condition number 1 is being amended to, again, take out a number of uses that could be allowed in the CM district. So now it will read, permitted uses shall include all uses in the CM district except bars, nightclubs, brew pubs, and any type of drive-through facilities. All uses in the agricultural, household living, group living, outdoor recreation, overnight accommodations, and vehicle sales and services use groups, animal shelters, cemeteries, passenger terminals, shooting ranges, indoor or outdoor, parks and open areas, I said overnight accommodations earlier, sorry. Commercial parking as a principal use, including park and ride facilities, mobile food vendors, both motorized and pushcart, funeral homes and crematoriums, taxi dispatch terminals, ABC stores, convenience stores with fuel pumps, flea markets, garden centers, nurseries, pawn shops, sexual-oriented businesses, truck stops, self-storage facilities, laundry and dry cleaning plants, as well as no light industrial uses will be allowed except medical and dental laboratories and printing and publishing services.
Do we have a motion?
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Hightower, seconded by Mr. Holston. All in favor, say aye. Aye. And that passes unanimously to accept that new condition.
Okay. And I'm happy to answer any additional questions at this point.
Okay. And the applicant is here?
I believe so. Yep, here he is.
Good evening, Mayor and the rest of the council members. How are y'all doing? I'm standing in for Dr. Singh because he had a family situation where his father passed, and so he's out of the city. So, first of all, we wanted to say thank you for all of your work all the time.
Could you give us your name for the record?
Yeah, this is Dr. James Joseph.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I am a friend of Dr. Singh's. I've known him for about 8 to 10 years now. My comments are going to be really brief. I just wanted to bring you up to date. I think there was concern at the last meeting that we had no neighborhood meeting, even though we'd sent out letters to everybody and invited them to make comments. Nobody did until the meeting itself. Mr. Way raised some objections at the last meeting, and he was concerned about what might be in the future, and we understood that. We just wish that we had that conversation before the actual meeting last time. But we did go ahead and let him set up a neighborhood meeting. We went through with the meeting, and he and one other friend came over representing the other neighbors. And again, I think it was clear the last time when he was speaking, he wasn't that concerned about the shops and the offices. What bothered him was what might happen with commercial medium zoning, because there's a lot of other options, and there's still a few neighbors that live in that area. So what we did, and we had no objection to this at all, is eliminate everything. That's why there was 24 additional exemptions that you just approved. It just took everything off the table that wasn't related to shops and offices. So that brought, everybody was very happy with that, and so I'm here to say it seems like everybody's in good standing right now. Everybody's happy. So I would like to open it up if you have any more questions, but I think we're in good shape.
Any questions?
I'd like to make a comment because that was the thing that was holding it up the last time. So I'm glad that all of these conditions were added, and I'm glad that the community and the...
We felt very comfortable with that.
Good.
We did.
Glad you got that straight.
Okay.
No, I would second that, Dr. Wells, and thank you all for doing that meeting.
Our pleasure.
There were some concerns, but this absolutely looks like this will create a good outcome for what you're trying to do out there.
I think it'll be good for the community.
Absolutely. That's very important. So thank you all. This is the type of thing that should always happen, is that community engagement ends in a win-win for both. So thank you.
Thank you. If that's all, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Move to close the public hearing.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Mr. Holston. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Is there a motion on the annexation?
So moved.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Dr. Wells. Council, please vote. And that passes 9-0. Item H5 will require a statement of consistency.
Move the item.
Moved by Dr. Wells, seconded by Mrs. Thurm.
The Greensboro City Council believes that its action to approve the original zoning request for the property at 5511 Burlington Road from County AG Agricultural to City CDCM Conditional District Commercial Medium to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. The request is consistent with the Comprehensive Plan's future build form map and future land use map. The proposed city CDCM zoning district, as conditioned, permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impact on adjacent properties. The request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and the surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Council, please vote. That passes 9-0.
Madam Mayor? Just very quickly, if I could, a question for City Manager Davis and also City Attorney. From that last case and those conditions that we approved, could that property owner also have offered to approve to remove vape shops? Is that something that, this is hypothetical?
I'm going to ask our zoning administrator, Mike, can you speak to that?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Kirkman.
That's
There you
fine.
are.
No problem. So that is not a defined use in the ordinance.
Okay.
It's actually would more broadly fall under retail sales, which is still allowed under commercial medium, but it's not separately defined in our ordinance, so it couldn't be offered as something to be prohibited.
Perfect. Thank you.
Do we have a motion for H6?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Holston, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. That will require a statement of consistency.
The Greensboro City Council believes that its action to approve the original zoning request for the property at a portion of Burlington Road right-of-way from County AG Agricultural to City LI Light Industrial to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. The request is consistent with the Comprehensive Plan's future built form map and future land use map. The proposed City LI zoning district permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on adjacent properties. And the request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Council, please vote. And that passes 9-0. We now move on to items H10 and 11. H10 is a public hearing for an ordinance annexing territory into the corporate limits for the property located at 1143 Pleasant Ridge Road, 57.99 acres. Mark Isaacson for Rana Humian of Pleasant Ridge Plantation, LLC. And item H11, a public hearing for an ordinance for original zoning and rezoning for properties at 1143 and 1163 Pleasant Ridge Road. Mark Isaacson for Rana Humian of Pleasant Ridge Plantation, LLC. We do have one speaker signed up in favor, Nick Blackwood. Mr. Kirkman? If you'd
Yes,
like
thank
to
you,
give
Mayor
us an
Vaughn.
overview.
Again, the request is a combination of an annexation and both original zoning as well as rezoning associated with that. Hang on a second. Again, the property is at this point in the county is zoned county PI, public and institutional, and then the city is combination of PI, public and institutional, R3 residential single family, CDLI, conditional district light industrial, and then all of that to go to the planned unit development zoning district. North of this request is currently zoned city R3 as well as county AG agricultural. East of the request is zoned city CDLI and county AG. South of the request is zoned city CDLI, city PI, city CDRM18 residential multifamily, and county AG agricultural. West request is zoned city PI, city CDRM18, and county AG. The subject property is currently undeveloped at this point in time. North of the request are single-family dwellings and undeveloped land. East of the request are warehouse uses and commercial vehicle parking. South of the request is outdoor recreation and a religious assembly use. West request is also religious assembly use, common elements for a nearby subdivision and undeveloped land. The property is currently designated as public institutional in the Western Area Plan and as urban general on the future built form map of the comprehensive plan. There are conditions associated with this request, as you see on the screen, and were advertised as part of the hearing. Again, this is a planned unit development, so there is also an associated unified development plan that was approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission, subject to the approval of the zoning tonight. In supporting the request, staff again has determined this does support the comprehensive plans, filling in our framework goal to arrange land uses for a more vibrant and livable Greensboro, and the Creating Great Places goal to expand Greensboro's citywide network of unique neighborhoods offering residents of all walks of life a variety of quality housing choices. The PUD district as condition accommodates a mix of residential housing types as well as some complementary non-residential uses, and does allow uses that are compatible with existing uses in the surrounding area. These items were heard at the August 18th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, and the Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval of all items. That brings it before City Council this evening. I can answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Kirkman? Okay. Mr. Blackwood, you have up to 15 minutes.
Madam Mayor and members of council, my name is Nick Blackwood, 804 Green Valley Road here in Greensboro, and I do have some materials to pass out if that's okay.
We'll get somebody to get them. Thank you.
I'll be fairly brief with this presentation. Really just want to highlight some of the points that were contained in the staff report. On that second page in your packet, you'll see an excerpt from the zoning map, just with our subject property outlined in red. Just wanted to again highlight the existing mix of uses in the area. There's a fair amount of existing light industrial right across the street from us, so some fairly intense land uses already in place along this stretch of Pleasant Ridge Road. On page 3, you'll just see some of those uses referenced, outlined, and identified. So you've got some existing mixed density housing. We've got plantation at Pleasant Ridge, apartment development to the northeast, a recently approved True Homes single-family subdivision to the west. So a mix of housing types, a mix of densities. And then in purple there, you see all of that light industrial use that was referenced on that zoning map that you just saw. The proposed UDP on the next slide, you'll see that phase 3 to the north, that's where our single-family lots are intended to be located. We've got 75 single-family lots proposed, 60 townhome units in phase 2, and 250 multifamily units and up to 28,000 square feet of commercial space in that phase 1 to the southeast of the property. And if you'll refer back to your zoning map, you'll see that in phase 3, where the single family is planned, currently about 10 acres is zoned light industrial, and that backs up to existing single family to the north. So we think that this change is best case scenario for those folks who have single family homes in the area. We're replacing that light industrial zoning with single family lots consistent with what they have on their property. And then just for your reference, to give you an idea about how we're anticipating this project may lay out, we have an illustrative sketch plan on page 5. Again, you'll see the multifamily office and commercial at the southeastern portion of the property closest to that big chunk of light industrial zoning across the street, townhomes to the southwest, and then those single-family lots to the north. We did send out a notice letter, and we held a community meeting. We had between 5 and 10 folks attend that meeting. I think the general message that we received from those folks was that they understood growth was coming. They referenced the recent airport announcements, some of the other projects in the area that are already being developed or have been developed. So this did not come as a surprise to anyone on that call, and I think everyone was generally supportive. So happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Total number of units.
Yeah, so 250 multifamily units proposed, 60 townhomes, and 75 single-family lots. And if you just look at the residential density across the total acreage, it comes out to about 5 units an acre for residential development.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to close the public hearing? Moved by Mrs. Thurm, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That passed unanimously. Council discussion, or do I have a motion on the annexation, which is H10?
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Thurm, seconded by Mr. Holston. Council, please vote. And that passes 9-0. Item H11 requires a statement of consistency.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Thurm, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem.
The Greensboro City Council believes that its action to approve the original zoning request for the properties at 1143 and 1163 Pleasant Ridge Road from County PI, City PI, City R3, and City LI to City PUD with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. The request is consistent with the Comprehensive Plan's future belt form map and future land use map. The proposed city PUD zoning district, as conditioned, permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on adjacent properties. The request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Council, please vote. And that passes 9-0. We'll take items 10, H12 and H13 together. Item H12 is a public hearing for an ordinance annexing territory into the corporate limits for the property located at 4265 Hamburg Mill Road, 1.502 acres. Tom Terrell on behalf of David F. Couch for CF 4265 Hamburg Mill Road, LLC. And item H13, a public hearing for an ordinance for original zoning for property located at 4565 Hamburg Mill Road. Tom Terrell on behalf of David F. Couch of CF 4265 Hamburg Mill Road, LLC. Mr. Kirkman?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Vaughn. Again, the request is to annex the property into the city's jurisdiction and establish original zoning from County RS40 residential single family to City CDRM5 conditional district residential multifamily. North, east, and south of this request are currently zoned Summerfield RS residential, and west of the request is zoned Summerfield AG agricultural. The subject property currently contains a single family dwelling. North, east, south, and west requests are also single-family dwellings. The property does not currently have a designation in the future land use map of the comprehensive plan, as it was not eligible to be annexed by the city when the comprehensive plan was adopted. However, residential designation, as you can see on the map, is the closest similar designation under the future land use map. Similarly, on the future built form map, the urban general designation is the most consistent and closest to this property. This is a conditional application, and this is the condition that was offered by the applicant. Staff has concluded that this request does support the comprehensive plan's Creating Great Places goal to have a citywide network of unique neighborhoods offering residents of all walks of life a variety of quality housing choices, and the filling in our framework big idea to arrange our land uses where we live, work, attend school, shop, and enjoy our free time to create a more vibrant and livable Greensboro. The proposed CDRM5 district does permit uses that are compatible with existing uses in the surrounding area, and again, staff is recommending approval of the request. The Planning and Zoning Commission heard these requests at the August 18th meeting and unanimously recommended approval of both the annexation and original zoning requests, and that brings it before council this evening. Can I answer any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Kirkman? I see Mr. Terrell in the room. I assume you're here for questions.
I am here for questions.
Okay. Then do we have a motion on H12? Moved by Mr. Matheny, seconded by Mr. Holston. Council, please vote. Mary Kay, did you vote? Okay. That passes 9-0. Item H13 requires a statement of consistency. Moved by Mrs. Thurm, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem.
The Greensboro City Council believes that its action to approve the original zoning request for the property at 4265 Hamburg Mill Road from County RS40 to City CDRM5 to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. The request is consistent with the Comprehensive Plan's future built form map and future land use map, the proposed city CDRM 5 zoning district as conditioned, permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on adjacent properties. The request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Council, please vote. And that passed 9-0. That's good. All right, so now we move on to the general business portion of our agenda. Item I-1 is a resolution to authorize sale of land at 2701 A North O. Henry Boulevard to DHIC Inc. for $350,000 for affordable housing development.
No, we already arranged.
No, that's
Miller was second, and then I second.
Tam. Nobody's moved this yet.
Yeah, we have.
Yes. Cynthia, sorry, go ahead. Ignore us.
That's why we took it up.
They know I'm going to have questions, so.
I will try to answer them. Thank you very much. All right, my name is Cynthia Blue, Assistant Director for Housing and Neighborhood Development, here tonight to talk to you about the sale of 2701A North O. Henry Boulevard to DHIC. We are thrilled with the selection of developer and with the proposal that they have brought forward to us for affordable housing development on this site. We know it's been a long time coming. So just very briefly on the timeline, the acquisition of the former Regency and Motel. For 3 years, we used it for emergency housing, 2 years for winter housing, 1 season for summer housing. The pallet shelters are still out there, and they will remain there until about, I think it's the beginning of November, when they will move off the site. So we won't be doing any type of transfer until that occurs. There was also an underground storage tank discovered during the Phase 1 process, and the city will remove that tank before selling the land to the developer so that it goes to them in developable condition. We carried out a development request for proposals, and the RFP committee recommended DHIC wholeheartedly. We did go through a rezoning process, and tonight's action is the recommendation to City Council. We had extensive communication during the rezoning process. A press release went out on July 11th. We hit, I think, just about all of the major media networks, including the Rhino Times. The neighborhood meeting on July 29th had very good feedback. People were really thrilled to see that something positive was going to come there. They really felt that that this would be a benefit to their neighborhood and that people from the neighborhood could actually live there as well. We also went to the concerned citizens of Northeast Greensboro on August 7th and also had a good meeting there where people were very optimistic about the direction that the site was heading. So that was all good news. And we have been keeping in touch with everyone who has been in touch with us, who wants updates on the process to let them know where we are and what's coming next. So the city-initiated rezoning was approved on August 18th. It was rezoned to CDRM 26 with the condition that it shall not exceed 130 units. And what the anticipated use looks like is a two-phase development, 114 total units, 54 age-restricted senior units, and they would be in the larger building on the lower right-hand corner. And that corner is where 16th Street and the Highway US 29 sort of come together there. So that would be a large enclosed interior hallway, secure building for the seniors. Of those 54 units, 32 of those would be at 60% of area median income, 8 at 50%, 14 at 30% of area median income, and a total development cost of about $14.6 million for that phase of the project. The second phase of the project would be family units, 36 at 60% of area median income, 9 at 50%, and 15 at 30%. And that phase of the development would be about $14.9 million. So we're looking at about a $30 million return to the city on investment in development in an area that welcomes it. The developer is planning to use the low-income housing tax credit for both phases of the project, and they are here tonight for any questions that I may not be able to answer.
Any questions?
Sure.
Zach, Sharon, anybody else? Okay.
Dr. Wells, do you want to go first? Okay.
She said this has been a long time coming. We've talked about this project over and over. We've seen it used for, well, we had an initial plan, and that didn't work. Then we used it for the shelters and pallet homes. And the community, all of us over in Northeast Greensboro, are excited about the prospect of having this new housing development. And it satisfies a need that we have in the community. So I know that we've had some opposition or some questions about it, but this is what we need. And so I'm glad that it's at this point where we can make a final decision about getting the property so we can.
And before we move on to other council comments, we did have some speakers signed up. I'm not sure they're all here. Jason Hicks, George Hartzman, and Kayla Stramp. Kayla?
Kayla is the developer's representative.
Okay.
My questions are
So
more for
she's
staff
here for
than the
questions?
developer.
Okay. Thank you. Zach?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I hear you, Goldie. You know, it does. The project satisfies some needs. Obviously, I've had significant issues with this project throughout. One of them is procedure. One of them is communication. To my knowledge, unless I'm wrong, we haven't been updated on the Regency since July 8th. Is that fair, Mr. Manager? Ms. Blue?
I'd have to go back and check.
I've scrubbed my emails. And so the only thing I can go back to is July 8th. And there's not much documentation in that email that I have here, just that a little bit of timeline and that we're talking to DHIC. And it's the interesting, there's so many interesting things about this. One of them being, we talk about housing all the time. You know, you have a road to 10,000. Yet we seem to not want to follow a procedure or keep council abreast of how we're achieving that road to 10,000. And in this case, some concerns that pop up. So it's not really opposition as much as it is, how are we doing this? No, please.
Mr. City Manager, isn't Nasha on Zoom? And Nasha
Oh, is she?
I think so. She should be.
Yeah, she is. So
So
once
she
you have
could
questions,
answer
there was a
some of
couple
your
folks that can
questions.
respond.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Either
Okay.
Ms. Blue, Nasha, I'm fine either way. Whoever. What's the total amount the city has invested in the site?
The purchase and initial upfit for use of the property as winter shelter totaled about $3 million. Outside of that, costs would have been related to the operational costs of operating it as a shelter and operating it with the pallet shelters on site.
But
I don't have
about
that number with me
also
tonight.
The removal of the tank, the cost of
There will be a tank,
remediation, the also when we repurchased the property, I want to say we repurchased it for approximately $210,000, and so that would be in that number as well. So we're really looking at probably $3.5 million outside of operational.
Correct.
Is that a fair number?
Correct.
So one of the things, and Mr. Manager's heard me ask this question about other properties, is we haven't been updated, as far as I can tell, since July 8th, which was via memorandum. There's no indication of potential sell price. We were never talked about and educated from a council perspective as to what is going on arguably one of the most, as Goldie, Dr. Wells put, contentious sites we have in the city of Greensboro, it just flies through without education. And so my question is, if the city has $3.5 million in this site, the tax value is close to 1.5 million, 1.487 million. How is it fair and reasonable that we sell this property at a 90% discount? Because that's what the resolution says. We're selling it at a 90% discount. Tell me how that's fair and reasonable.
That is, affordable housing generally can't be built without some form of subsidy. When we underwrote this project, looking at what the project could afford to pay for the land, since the city was not providing any other source of subsidy, that is where the numbers worked.
So in any other case, when we're talking about a number as large as $3 million, it seems like we need to be educated and informed of such an expenditure or incentive as we are in economic development incentives. We have closed sessions. We have small work sessions. We are educated. I know if I had to go back, which I wouldn't want to do, and figure out how many times we've asked for a housing discussion to be educated on this. So it's not as much opposition to what is needed in the community. It's why are we getting in our own way? So a 90% discount is not fair and reasonable to me. Is this the highest and best land use? And I'd argue that there is enough property on this site, and maybe we were once again overpromised and not delivered on the potential for more housing on this site. And so I question the city, is this the highest and best use of this site? Now, it could be argued the best use, but is it the highest and best use? Are we truly serving as many people as we can? Question, and I don't know who can answer this, and I'm not picking on you, Ms. Blue. When is the property due to close?
We will not be able to close until the pallet shelters move off of the site and the city remediates the tank that's there.
Okay. So what is the estimated timeline? It won't take long should not take long. To remove the tank. So what is the estimated close date for this property?
Most likely December of this year.
Okay, December of this year. Since it is a city land sale or disposition, would it be advertised, and is there a potential for an upset bid?
This was a sale to a nonprofit. I'll let the attorney's office respond on that, but this is a land sale to a nonprofit, which can be done under a negotiated sale. So council can determine to make the sale, and then those conditions are advertised.
Wouldn't that be nice to know prior to sitting here on the dais? Because I understand being able to sell to an adjacent property owner, but I've never heard being able to sell to a nonprofit at such a deep discount and it closed. Okay, hypothetically, which I would not be surprised if it didn't close in December. We close on this property in December, and ma'am, nothing against your organization. This is procedurally my frustration. We close on this property. What is the development based on? LIHTC. You have to go get funding to develop this. Why would the city sell such valuable property when we don't know if the project will actually receive the LIHTC funding? Question, did we have an organization recently that we put forth for LIHTC that was not approved? Was one not approved?
But it passed.
So one was not approved.
We typically in Guilford County would be eligible to receive 2, new construction awards, and potentially a third if it was a rehab. So 2 of the 3 were likely to move forward.
So is it fair to say that LIHTC funding is not guaranteed?
9% credits are not guaranteed.
Okay. Why would we sell property when it is not guaranteed the project will move forward?
We typically use a sales development agreement which lays out the conditions under which the city would be able to recapture if the developer does not perform on the conditions.
You said typically. Mm-hmm. I've seen many cases, and I'm thinking of one in downtown, where we did not have the proverbial teeth in the contract in which to take back said air rights. So you said typically, in this contract with this developer, do we have teeth in the contract should they not receive their LIHTC funding?
That would have to be written into the contract.
Can you assure us that it will be written into the contract? And to the developer, if you'd like to join us, do you accept that? I mean, if we're going to talk about this, instead of having work sessions and instead of having small group sessions, I hate we got to do it publicly, but we got to do it. Do you accept that?
Well, before you answer, I think that will be part of, we can go back to, as we discuss this agreement, I don't want you to have to answer that, but we can take your recommendation back as we talk through the rest of this agreement.
Which leads me to my question of how and by whom are these deals negotiated? Have you ever heard me ask that question before? How and by whom?
So I think what you just watched the presentation from Ms. Blue. This is an affordable housing deal that we worked through to bring housing to what we all know was a blighted area and very underutilized. So I mean, if there's some specific questions as it relates to how they navigated through it, I can get those to you, or Ms. McCrae can follow up with you.
Is she going to talk?
The process that we went through for the disposition of this site was a request for proposals process. So each developer proposed their best performance project, and that is what the committee took into account when they reviewed them.
Thank you, Ms. Blue. I will tell you, in the spirit of transparency, you're going to file for LIHTC in January, correct?
Yes, assuming we have site control, we intend to submit a preliminary application in January.
Okay. So that's a tight timeline. Just for the edification of this council, if we don't get the tank out and it's clean, and if we don't discover any more soils, then that could create further issue, which we might not be able to close in January.
Well, in order for us to submit an application, we would have to have an option to purchase. So theoretically, I suppose that work could continue going on if we are able to have an option by that time frame.
Have you ever had a project get turned down by LIHTC?
Yes, we've had 9% projects get turned down. I think it might be helpful, though, to give a little bit of background on DHIC and our experience doing LIHTC projects in North Carolina, if that's okay with council. So DHIC is a nonprofit affordable housing developer headquartered in Raleigh, North Carolina. We have approximately 54 LIHTC developments in our portfolio and about 3,800 units in 9 different counties across the state. We have been in the LIHTC business since our first property was put in service in 1989. Our board is made of 15 volunteer members, and we are fully committed to affordability. And by that, as by example, we have never sold a single property that we have ever developed, and we are in the process right now of reinvesting $34 million in 7 properties that we own in Wake County.
I appreciate that, and I do have your pamphlet right here.
Yep. And to respond, I think, to some of your concerns previously, it would be disingenuous of me to say that we would always be successful in a 9% application. But again, the work that we've put into this so far leads us to believe that we would be successful. And also, in response to your comment before about whether or not is the highest and best use, we looked at multiple possible uses for the site, including the possibility of using 4% tax credits, knowing that those are currently not competitive. And what we determined from that analysis was not only would we not get a clear amount of additional density, but there would be a requirement of $10 million in subsidy necessary to make the numbers work. And so when we saw that, we realized that a better option, despite the fact that it is more competitive, would be to split this up into 2 9% transactions. That would enable us to move forward without needing 7 figures worth of subsidy.
Is this your, I can't remember, is this your first project in Greensboro?
It is.
But you've looked at others.
Sorry?
You've looked at others.
Yes.
Yeah, and notice none of my questions had anything to do with your organization or the ability to deliver. There were procedural questions about timeline. Do we have an agreement? How are they negotiated? This is a significant discount and investment in this. This has been a controversial, I don't know how much you know, site. And I don't want our folks, because if you apply in January, you may or may not receive word that you got the LIHTC until August or September, correct?
That's correct.
Of 2026.
Yes.
So in theory, when would you actually have a head in bed on that site?
December of 28 would be the last date that we would put the project in service if we receive a 26 allocation for the first phase.
Right. So at minimum, and construction projects always go smoothly, don't they? So at minimum, you're looking at 3 years. And I just think we have overpromised so many things and not delivered that folks need to know that there's not going to be a head in bed. And I would appreciate it, and I guess I'm talking to you, Mr. Manager, or Madam Attorney, that if we know that there's going to be zero construction on this site, could we also include in the contract a land lease so that we can house folks temporarily in the pallet shelters during the summer, because people die in the heat just as they do in the cold. And so if we know that there's no chance for construction to happen on this site, it would be thoughtful of us to be able to maximize as much housing as possible in a true partnership. And if we've got $3 million plus going into this project, which, no offense, I don't support, but I'm very transparent, then maybe we could include that to make sure housing is in there until they find out about their funding.
That's something we can take back.
This has nothing to do with your organization. It's got everything to do with we have got to communicate with staff and council better. We've got to communicate about housing better. Mr. Manager, there's not anybody up here that doesn't support the road to 10,000. Since it's so important, we need to have better communication. That's all. I've said it, I think, every time. Thank you all.
Quick question. Your total investment is going to be how much did you mention? Cindy, one is almost $15 million and the other one is? They're both about, so it's a total of about $30 million. So our investment is in that is basically $3.5 million. Yeah.
Sorry, I have Mrs. Hightower next. I have been informed that Mr. Hicks is on Zoom. Would you mind if we took him first?
No, go ahead.
It's only 12%.
Good evening. Sorry, I think we kind of got out of order, but nonetheless, I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I'm struggling a little bit tonight because it's odd for me to find myself agreeing with Zach, especially since he's currently under SBI investigation. But, even a broken clock is right twice a day. And on this issue, I think he's right. It seems like we're really this isn't just about the property, but it's about this concentration of LIHTC housing in East Greensboro. And this council continues to perpetuate poverty in East Greensboro by, concentrating affordable housing there instead of spreading that across the entire city. But just, even beyond that policy problem, I would also be opposed to the specific property sale. You know, the city has already invested, as you all just discussed, millions of taxpayer dollars into this site. And to now turn around and sell it for $350,000 is not just a financial loss, it's a disservice to the very residents who have funded that investment and who you say you want to help. You know, we need affordable housing, but we also need market rate housing in Greensboro. But we need it all built in the right way and in the right places. And continuing to cluster this LaTeX projects in East Greensboro while giving away valuable land at a steep discount is not the way to 10,000. It's not the way forward. So I'd urge you to all take a step back and reconsider this sale. And also consider, as you're on this road to 10,000, that you be a responsible steward of taxpayer resources. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Mrs. Hightower?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You got it on for me. I hear the concerns that everybody's expressing tonight. Let me ask you a question, because I thought at one point we were going to do some market rate on the site. It's big enough to do some market rate. Have we considered that as well? I know the LaTeX piece and the affordable piece, but the market rate. Can you hear me? Can you all hear me? Sorry.
There was one of the applications, I think, in the RFP may have included some townhome development, but that was not the recommended developer.
Okay. So is there potential for that? And I'll ask the young lady standing here.
So the current proposal that we have is solely for affordable, and the reason for that is for us to be able to maximize the availability of equity for the project and maintain affordability on the site for the folks who would be serving in the community. So as of right now, no.
Okay. And so within this content, Cindy, there is supportive housing as well, because we talk a lot about supportive housing, but we're not getting it done. And so we still got people on the street, back in the woods, that need that assistance. They need somewhere with a roof over their head, quality product. Someone who can walk in the door, have a brand new refrigerator and a stove and a toilet and a bathtub that they can now call their own, and are able to make those rents based on the income that they bring in. So whether it's a family of one or a family of four, this provides that opportunity. I hear the argument about the concentration and the saturation of poverty, but we have to look at the land that we have available to us. And I think that, personally speaking, this gives us an opportunity, because this property is just a few miles from Reedy Fork. And Reedy Fork has over 500 or 600 houses out there of market rate houses. That's driving, I think, the investment in that area as well. And so that person going in these units could be the next resident of Reedy Fork. And that's what we want to do, is put people on that trajectory from being a renter to being a homeowner as well. You don't have to, just because you're here today, doesn't mean you have to stay there today, you know. And yes, there are going to be some people that they don't want it, you know, no matter what, that the disabled person that you'll have a unit for as well, that single mom with 2 kids, she needs to get into school, you're going to have 4. I understand the concern. I've been to Durham, and I saw your property down in Durham, and it was done very well. It's quality. It was designed very well. It had a very nice atmosphere to it. When you went in it, I think you were going to do an addition for seniors or veterans, was being proposed as well. And that's another population that we need to serve as well. We talk a lot about people on the street, and a lot of people need somewhere to go. I hear the argument. I've made the argument about the saturation sometimes. But you have to look at it through a full lens and say, are we not our brother's keeper? To also find a way to help. I was going to ask you about the 4% tax credit, but I'm glad you explained that as well. So that minimizes our investment in this property as well. I would like to kind of for us to think about some market rate options there so that we're creating a mixed-use environment where people see other people elevating themselves, and then that makes them want to do the very same thing. But I think we went through a process. I looked at all 5 proposals, and quite frankly, you offered the best, and I think we deserve the best when we're trying to serve this community and this population. And so I am going to support it tonight because we keep kicking the can down the road, but we say we want to help house people. And we get groups that come here that talk about being unhoused. How do we do that? How do we get those people out of those apartments over at Cottage Gardens? How do we make sure that people are not living in mold conditions and plumbing back up, putting them in safe spaces? So I hear the argument. I made it myself. But we got to find solutions. Doesn't mean we can't get a grocery store over there. Absolutely. But people want to live somewhere they can be on a bus line to get to that store. And this offers that. Am I not correct?
That's right.
So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Mrs.
Yes.
I think there were 2 questions that you had in.
Yes.
One is about the inclusion of supportive units.
Yes.
And the other was the level of affordability in terms of rents.
So in response to your question about supportive units, first, I just have to say I think you described DHIC's mission better than I ever could have. If you'll note, our mission talks about providing housing, but also helping the people that we serve, our residents, access opportunity. And a big part of that first step, is ensuring that they are stably housed in a place where they are proud to bring their family members and that they feel safe. And you'll note in Cindy's presentation that we had multiple levels of income targeting in this project. We had 30, 50, and 60 in order to create a mixed income environment. And also, even though the project is not specifically supportive housing, we recognize that there is significant crossover between those folks who are earning 30% of area median income and the supportive housing population that those projects seek to serve, which is why DHIC has its own internal resident services team that seeks to develop relationships with local service organizations to help ensure that the folks who are housed in our LIHTC properties continue to be stably housed and have access to opportunities in things like health and wellness or wealth generation, and so that they ultimately, ideally, like you mentioned, can access housing across the spectrum, that they're not necessarily staying in our LIHTC properties, but that they perhaps can take advantage of the budgeting workshops, other financial counseling, first-time homebuyer assistance that our organization provides. And so that, again, they have the autonomy and the choice to decide what is best for them from a place of safety and stability.
Thank you for that. And I think I had one other question that I wanted to ask you about. But I do know LIHTC is a dirty word. It has become a dirty word to the city. There are residents who absolutely, they absolutely applaud it. They really do. But I think the return on investment is greater sometimes than what we see. And if it helps the developer help individuals that need it the greatest, I think we sometimes have to look at that as well. I heard you say something earlier about that you have 34 properties and you own them. I think when the
We have a portfolio of 54 properties in 9 counties across the state.
Okay. and you still retain ownership? Because I think that that's a concern too, that oftentimes when LIHTC expires, then they go to the highest bidder, but they don't take care of them.
Yes, and we have never sold a single property that we've developed.
So would that be something that would fold into your, I don't know if it's legal to fold into an agreement of you would retain ownership, because maintenance and property management, all of those things are concerning to residents that live in and around other LIHTC properties. We have some great looking ones, but there are some that don't look as great, and we need to do something about those. But
yeah, absolutely. And I can say that for the first 15 years, as you know, with LIHTC, it's necessary for us to stay in the ownership structure. And I can also say unequivocally that we have never sold a property. I do not have the authority to say anything about the future of the organization, but I do think it's a pretty significant track record in 51 years to have never sold anything and to be continuing to reinvest in the properties that we already own.
so your maintenance, you continue to, I mean, it's brand new.
Yes, absolutely.
Shouldn't need maintenance for
Absolutely.
20 years. I mean, I know that sounds extreme, but I'm just saying.
No, absolutely. And then we look at, we have properties in our portfolio in addition to the 7 that we currently have being renovated. We have others that we have acquired and rehabbed, recognizing that it is necessary to reinvest in these properties over time. And in those situations where we've had resyndications of credits, including our current bond portfolio, a new land use restriction agreement is put on the property for another 30 years. So we are very much aware that the advantage of getting these equity investments allows us to keep the rents low, and we're comfortable with the long-term commitment to affordability.
We do have, I have Mrs. Hoffman and
Thank
Ms. Pinder. Anybody else besides the two of them?
Yeah, Goldie would say so.
I thought I got Goldie, but I'll call her. Mrs. Hoffman?
Thanks. I'll be very brief. Tax value is one way of valuing a piece of property. It's not the only way, and doesn't mean that you can buy a property at its tax value. So, we may have acquired a couple of pieces of property in the past that we think we might have overpaid for them because of the condition of the property and the location, but you're making a $30 million investment in our community in an area of the city where we need this done, and so our contribution to that essentially is about 12%. If we are valuing our cost of our property at $3.5 million and you're investing 30, so I'm fine with making that investment on the part of the citizens of Greensboro. And I will say that, I, for one, don't consider LIHTC a dirty word. I sit on the local government commission, and monthly we approve LIHTC programs in cities throughout the state, and we also approve the funding that the state is required to fund these projects with annually. So, from everything that I know and have heard about you and your company, I'm happy that you've chosen to come to Greensboro, and I'm going to be very happy to support this.
Thank you. Ms. Pinder?
Speak into me.
Dr. Wells, then Mr. Holston. Dr. Wells?
Okay. Well, I heard Mr. Matheny talk about the fact that we weren't informed. I think that we did have small groups that were held in June, and then we had a housing GSO update. We had the annual HUD auction plan, and we talked about Demery, and we talked about Regency. But that might have been one of those meetings you missed. So we did discuss it, and I think we on July 8th we had a memo about it, the Regency update, and then in July 25th a message was sent to council. So I think that council was informed. This has been a project we've been talking about. Remember, it has morphed into where it is now. When we started, it was permanent, supportive housing, and things didn't work out. Now it's a combination. There'll be some units that provide supportive services for some people, and then the others will be family units. And as Ms. Pender said, 54 seniors and 60 family units. And there will be fully accessible units as well as for individuals with disabilities. So I think that we need to look at what's best for our citizens. It may take some time, and I know we had a comment about it being in East Greensboro. We're not concerned about that if it is nice housing. This is not just anything. This is good housing. This meets the needs of our citizens, and that's what we have to consider. Well, it looks like maybe we may have lost some money, but sometimes it just takes some time. As Ms. Hoffman said, we've made some investments, but we do it for the citizens. So we've been on this a long time, and it's time now for us to make this decision. And of course, I'm moving that item. I'm moving it. Yes, I'm moving it. He wants to do it, but I'm moving the item when we get to it.
So that's moved by Dr. Wells, seconded Ms. Pinder, but we still, when Dr. Wells is through, Mr. Holston and Mayor Pro Tem.
Oh, you all have comments. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. We got you both.
It's one other thing I wanted to say. We've been throwing around this term LIHTC. That's an acronym for Low Income Housing Tax Credit. It's a TIHTC, and we've been throwing that around, but the acronym, it's really for Low Income Housing Tax Credit.
Okay, Mr. Holston?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I agree with some of the comments I've heard this evening regarding the fact that there are going to be times when we need to make an additional investment in properties because of the overall need and also because of maybe where that need is located. We know that in our Northeast, our East, and our South communities, those have been somewhat underserved and are going to need some additional investment to be as strong as they possibly can be so that we as a city are as strong as we can possibly be. At the same time, I also believe that when it comes to these developments, that there should be some kind of mixed use, preferably market rate mixed in, especially in those communities, Northeast, East, and Southeast, that have not been thriving in the past, and to give them the opportunity with market rate components to also join in the thriving. In this case, on this item, whereas I ordinarily would not support it, I believe that the addition of the senior housing, the addition of the permanent supportive housing, things that are additional amenities that our community needs, especially in the communities that we're speaking of. I said Northeast, East, and Southeast. Not a lot of senior housing there. Folks who want senior housing have to change locations. And this opportunity, this project allows them to stay in place, so to speak, stay in those communities that they've grown up in, stay in those communities that they have friends and family. So whereas it's important for the future for our city, it's important for the future of Northeast, East, and Southeast Greensboro to have that mixed-use component. In this case, I will be supporting this agenda item, but with my heart also saying that as we look at future endeavors, let's please consider those market rate components so that all of our communities can celebrate and enjoy the bounty of the future. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Do Tammy, then Mary Kay.
I was just going to add the comment, very similar to what Mr. Holston just said, and that several of us were at a meeting last night, and the concept of aging in your home neighborhood and being able to stay near your home church and near your home, the areas that you know are critical for our seniors. It's what people are crying out for. People want a quality place for their parent to be near them, near the grandchildren, near the family, so we don't ostracize our seniors. I have a very dear friend who currently is looking for low-income housing for a disabled brother. It's impossible to find in Greensboro. You can't even get on a waiting list in Greensboro. Part of what we've talked about with the road to the 10,000 is where we need to invest in, we as a city need to invest in the missing housing that we have. And there are pockets of Greensboro and there are pockets of our community that there just are no options for them. And that's going to take investment. If a company could come in and make money at it, then these people couldn't afford it. If they came in and spent $3.5 million to purchase this property, that then raises the rent to such a point that these people couldn't afford to live in. This is part of the give and take that we're going to face as we look at filling in the housing that we need. And sometimes we're going to have to invest money in it. We invest money in every LIHTC property in our community because there's a certain requirement that the city participates in. This property just so happens that we've already made that investment in prior years and we don't have to allocate that out of our money budget right now. So that's actually a bigger boom for us. For all of these reasons and more, I'll be supporting the project.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I believe most everything has been said, but I do want to say that, having all price points of units is great, market rate, all of those things. But sometimes you have communities that have a special need. And this is one of those communities where in the area where this is going to be built. Very much, it brings me back to the great celebrations we've had, although there may not be medical and things, but they would be close to. We've had celebrations about the Mount Zion project with the church and everything where kind of services are very close by or within. So knowing that the places are very close by that people will need is certainly something that I am very glad to see in this proposal. About LIHTC, I did want to say that, it's the government's program. It's a solution to creating and preserving the supply of affordable rental housing for low and very low income households. Now, our goal, of course, is to bring people out of low income households, but there are certain people, what Tammy just mentioned is a perfect example. We still have the need. And in having that need, something like this is perfect. Have we perhaps spent way too much money on certain things? We do that all the time. And I hate to put it that way. I don't mean that it's acceptable. It's not. But, you know, in seeing where we've been with this project and things kind of backfired, and to see where we are today with the possibility of this is going to be a success, that's where I am. I understand. I don't want to waste one penny of any taxpayer's money, but, you know, sometimes things kind of happen and hit us in the face. We've all been there. And, you know, I want to make sure that this moves forward, that it's not delayed again. And I see that a lot of good things can come out of this. So this is one reason I am certainly supporting this project. Thank you.
Okay, we do have a motion from Dr. Wells and a second from Ms. Pinder. Council, please vote. And that passes 8-1. Now we move on to item I2, which is a resolution to authorize sale of land located at 1004-1028 John Demery Drive to Prosperity Alliance for $270,000 and designation of home funds for home buyer assistance. We do have one speaker on this item. Marcus Cornegay, you'd have 3 minutes.
Marcus is the developer representative.
So does that mean he's here for questions, or would you like to do a presentation?
I can do the presentation first.
Council, you have any questions for Mr. Cornegay?
He can help with questions.
Would you like to give us a brief overview?
Yes. All right, come on. There we go. Okay, so timeline of this project. The city did acquire this property through deed in lieu of foreclosure. We carried out, I think, possibly 3 rounds of development requests for proposals before the RFP review committee recommended Prosperity Alliance and the True Homes team for a single-family development. They have been through the sketch plan process with TRC. So tonight's recommendation to City Council, we will be demolishing the existing buildings prior to sale, and we do already have that estimate in hand at $65,000, and that is ready to go. The anticipated use is 4 one-story and 11 two-story single-family units. 11 of those units will be targeted to those at 80% of area median income, and 4 units targeted to 60% of area median income. The one-story units will sell for about $260,000, the two-story for about $244,000, and the True Homes Foundation will be providing $21,000 in cost subsidy for all of those units. So that will be a discount off of those sales prices. There is additional down payment assistance money available from the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency and from First National Bank. So we will be stacking the different down payment sources. The amount listed for city down payment assistance is the maximum that would be needed. If NCHFA funding is involved, then it could be significantly less than that. It all depends on when the projects reach sale and whether NCHFA still has money available at that point in the year. And I think that's it on my end. Marcus, you want to be available for questions?
Any questions? Or do we have a motion?
And I'm seconding, by the way.
Okay.
But I do have a question. Back to the financing piece. Go back to that when you said, okay, True's going to kick in 21, and then First National and NCHFA, and where are we? Would we even be a part of that equation?
We might not have to be if NCHFA comes in.
If they come through. But if they don't come through, then we're up to 20 now as well.
25, actually.
25,000. Okay, great. I just want to say, if I can have a few words before, Dr. Wells, if you want to say something.
I just, I do.
But tonight we've seen 2 different types of housing projects in East Greensboro. So why I don't represent either one. This is East Greensboro. And this is what we need in East Greensboro. We just saw a proposed LIHTC project, but now we have housing. And housing in an area that is seeing a lot of housing coming up as of late, but on a property that is set for how long, Cindy, did you say? It is set
A long while.
for years. I've driven by it for years, and I've pushed and pushed to get John Demery redone. Not just a renovated space, but a new space and a hopeful space, and creating home ownership. This is attainable housing. So we talk a lot about affordable and attainable, but this is attainable housing that is being done for sale in an area that's been underserved, that has not seen really any housing building since Michael King put Project Homestead houses over there. And those houses are still standing today. And so this will be comparative to that, to enhance a community that deserves it, and it's long overdue. The two-story homes, the one-story house, this will accommodate families as well. The single mom, it will help her. So she might be in that apartment for a little while, but she'll get herself on good ground, good stable footing, get a good job, be able to create generational wealth. That's what this will do. And I think that this, I'm supporting it 1,000%, Dr. Wells. You know, we've been going through this, and we vetted this, vetted the developer. We put you through a little changes, didn't we?
Just a little bit.
Yeah, but it's okay. We're getting a great product, and that's what we deserve, quality product, housing product, that will appreciate in value and will appreciate the area as well. We, you know, bringing it up values in our community. And so I'm excited to start seeing it, the properties be torn down. We will make believers out of many people who thought we couldn't get it done, but we have gotten it done, and we've got a great partner here, True Homes and Prosperity. You do good work, and I'm excited to see us move forward in this area of East Greensboro. And we have other properties, redevelopment lots, and that we certainly, and let me just say this, you're partnering with True Homes, but True Homes has been building over in Willow Oaks. So they're already building over there in East Greensboro. They've already got great product. You can ride through McConnell Road right now and see the development that has been done over there. I think the last house that was built is on English Street, right there. So we know your reputation. So we are getting what we deserve, the better quality. And we're going to get better and better at this. So thank you for investing in this and going through these steps. I appreciate it.
I just want to say thank you to Sharon, because she is the one who really brought John Demery to our attention, and our attention, and our attention. And we appreciate that. We know that you were invested in this property, and that you took ownership of it. And I appreciate that, because I think we have a much better product than what was originally thought. It has really come a long way. I'm excited to see the way that these will turn out in a short period of time, but do want to recognize Mrs. Hightower for the strong leadership that she has shown pushing this project forward. Well, we do have a motion. Oh, Hugh?
I was going to give some thanks to Ms. Howard, also Councilwoman Hightower. Now, both of these projects in District 2, so is the Windsor Chambers Library project. But she has taken the lead. She talks about it more than I do, but it's all about the upgrading of District 2. When I rode through McConnell Road this week and looked at all of the houses that are going up and have gone up and been built in Willow Oaks, I called her and I said, "You really been working hard," because I hadn't been down that street in a while. And those houses are there. And I'm so glad that this is going to be a bright spot where Denbury is. It's just been there just for years. And I've been on the council a long time, and it was one of the first things people talked about. And we tried, and everything just didn't work out. But, you know, I believe in seasons and timing. And so this is the right time, and I'm just glad that we're going to get it passed. But thanks for all your pushing and talking.
So we do have, Hugh, did you want to say something? All right, so we do have a motion by Dr. Wells and a seconded by Mrs. Hightower. Council, please vote. And that passes 9-0. Thank you.
Yeah. I can share that, and I know the vote is over. I thank you. I'm Marcus Cornegay. I'm with Prosperity Alliance. We're a minority developer based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. We operate under the conviction and belief that home ownership is the fastest path, to generational wealth and American dream for all. And so we're really thrilled to partner with the city to bring 15 generational wealth creation opportunities to East Greensboro. Very excited. I will get you photos, and anyone else photos of the model homes we're looking to build in collaboration with True Homes, and we look forward to continuing this partnership with the city. So thank you.
Thank you. We now move on to item I3, which is a resolution approving bid in the amount of $656,000 and authorizing execution of contract 2025-0200 with Envision Company, Inc. for the CVB Hockey Office Restroom Renovation Project. Moved by Mr. Holston, seconded by Dr. Wells. All in favor? Please, well, everybody vote. Everybody vote.
Have a mic anymore.
Well, you know, this might be a thing. That passes 9-0. Sharon, what was your question?
I was going to ask, how did they arrive at their numbers from the OBO office? But because I don't see the, and my question is, have we stopped setting goals on these contracts? Because I don't see a goal here.
No, Councilmember Hightower, initially, the early estimates, obviously optimistic estimates, where this project was going to come in below our typical goal threshold, so goals were not initially set. But you do have in your package, you do have a memo from OBO which gives the M and W outcomes. So you do see the amounts that are going to go for minority women business. They just weren't goal-based, but we still wanted to record about 4% M and about 13% W.
Right, and so the total was 17%, and I saw that, and I read all that. As you know, I read everything come across my desk. Probably not, y'all don't like it, but anyway. But I didn't see goals set.
No, there were not.
So,
yeah, there wasn't a goal set, but nevertheless, we still wanted to document the achievement that was made, even in the absence of a goal.
how do we arrive at not setting goals on this? It's
Typically, traditionally for construction and repair, we've set $300,000 as kind of our base. And if we think early on something's going to be less than that, we typically have not set goals. That was a very early estimate on this project, clearly missed by a mile. The bids came in twice that, but nevertheless, if you look at the agenda memo, we had two bidders, and we documented the M and the W that they both submitted. The winning bid had better M and W participation in total than the other bid did. So, and I'll let Mike Perdue is here from OVG Coliseum and can speak to the specifics of the project itself.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I
Ms.
know we
Hightower.
voted already, but I just,
The city's guidelines is obviously set goals on three. They don't set goals on the projects with the engineered estimated to come in at 300,000 or less. This project here, and that was the case in this project. The engineer's estimate was below the threshold of set goals. Unfortunately, the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing numbers come in way higher than the engineers expected them to be. That's why the price escalated, and there was no goal set on it. However, we did note that the general contractor that's going to be awarded the contractor is a MBE also, registered with the city. Over and above the 17%, the general contractors also themselves, and I know that's not counted toward your goals, but I just wanted to point that out, that it is a MBE general contractor.
is that Envision? Who is that?
Envision, the company out of Mount Airy, North Carolina, is the general contractor, and they're a small MWB contractor that's been in business for roughly 5 years, and just now started wanting to do business with the City of Greensboro, and looking forward to doing this project.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Mike, for that.
Thank you. Item I4 is an ordinance amending Coliseum Capital Improvement Fund 529 in the amount of $770,000 for hockey improvements. Moved by Mr. Holston.
Second.
Seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. Council, please vote. And that passes 9-0. Our final item tonight is I5, a resolution approving a sole source purchase with Polydyne Inc. for Carafloc C6257 polymer. Moved by Mrs. Thurm, seconded by Dr. Wells. Council, please vote. And that passes 9-0. That is the end of our printed portion of our agenda. Let's do boards and commissions. Mrs. Hightower? Okay. Mr. Holston?
Yes, to the Sustainability Council, I want to reappoint Mr. Andrew Randall. He's finishing his first term, and he's eligible for reappointment for his second term.
Okay. There is a motion and a second by Mrs. Hightower. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Mr. Matheny?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I'm just triple checking. My appointment would be for the Minimum Housing Standards Commission, and it would be Taylor McCaskill.
Is that a reappointment?
No,
or
this would be a new appointment.
A new appointment. And who will they be replacing?
They replaced Amber Riverio, who resigned and not eligible for reappointment in August
Okay.
this year.
Second? Okay, seconded by Mrs. Thurm. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. Mrs. Hoffman?
Yes, I want to appoint J.D. Gallion to the Board of Adjustments, replacing Ted Oliver.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. I would like to reappoint David Parrish for PTRWA. Second?
No.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that's good. That passes unanimously. Mrs. Abuzuwaiter?
None this evening.
Dr. Wells?
I'd like to appoint Terry Savoy to the Minimum Housing Standard Commission to replace Michael Waller, who resigned, is not eligible for reappointment.
Seconded.
Oh, that's the one. Yeah, he passed away, so he can't be reappointed.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. That was unanimous. Mrs. Thurm? Ms. Pinder? Okay. Council comments. We'll start on this end. Ms. Pinder, we'll start with you.
just had an amazing time, and hopefully many of our residents here in Greensboro and outside of Greensboro with the Folk Festival just had an amazing turnout this weekend. Also, just want to reiterate how we've been talking about housing and employability and things of that nature, and what we see. I feel like it's a spark that's happening here in the city with the housing. And again, we've talked about 10,000 is just a start to where we really need to be, and we need to be able to diversify that housing. And so what we've been able to see here tonight, as well as what's continuing to happen in our city around making sure that we have housing for our residents that are here now and for those that are coming, is really important. But outside of housing, also want to amplify our healthcare needs as well, because if you don't have health, you don't have anything else. And just want to bring to people's attention, if they're not aware of, over in partnership with Cone Health as well as Greensboro Housing Authority, they have a partnership where they are providing virtual primary care twice a week over in the Hampton Homes, Warnersville, and Southeast Greensboro. And I don't think people are aware of those health benefits that are available for individuals if they need primary care needs, just health education. That's happening right now in the southeast side of Greensboro on Mondays and Thursdays. And also on Tuesdays, there's a partnership with the Housing Authority as well as with UNCG providing extended care. So again, we talk about housing and what are all of those elements that help us have a healthy community. Want to make sure people are aware of the spark and the things that truly are happening in our city, and want to make sure we're lifting that up and people know that, hey, we're listening, things are happening, and want to make sure that it gets out. So thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Thurm?
I also wanted to say, I think last weekend was an amazing event. The number of people that were downtown. And I was very excited to see online that we had people from Charlotte standing in line to take the train from Charlotte to Greensboro, which is a wonderful thing for the Folk Festival. I also met a number of people from out of town that were here that came specifically for the Folk Festival, and I thought it was so great. It was just a wonderful, wonderful event, a mix of everybody happy together in one place, regardless of where you come from, what your nationality, religion, whatever. It was just a great, great event. Also want to remind people that Pride is this Saturday at LeBauer Park. The footprint for Pride is different. It's not down Elm Street this year. It's focused and centered around LeBauer Park. I believe that kicks off at 11. So come out for that. And we also have the powwow this weekend at, is it at Country Park?
Country Park.
At Country Park. So encourage people to come out. You know, it was the Folk Festival kicked us off, and we've got the next several weekends. We have lots to do in Greensboro, and lots of fun. So enjoy, come out, and have a great time. Thank you.
Dr. Wells?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm the liaison for the library, and I want to encourage the citizens of Greensboro to use our public library. There are lots of activities going on there. You can always check out books and free Wi-Fi and meeting rooms. So just learn more about our public library and use it, because it is we have the conduit to our destiny. That's our slogan. I also want to let you know that there will be a candidates forum from the concerned citizens of Northeast Greensboro on October the 4th. And I want to invite all of you Thursday night, which is the 18th, to Bennett College for District 2 Town Hall. And it's a glimpse into the future, the bright future for District 2. And so I invite all of you to come and hear more about the housing developments that are going on, about our treasure that in District 2 and about becoming an historic mill district. So come and learn more about what's happening in District 2. That's Thursday night at 6:30 until 8 at the Global Learning Center. We'll also hear from the interim president of Bennett College. So I'm inviting all of you to come.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you so much. Of course, the Folk Festival was just fantastic, as some up here have already stated. And I do want to commend the ones who helped the Folk Festival this year. I know Mrs. Thurm did the Bucket Brigade, and I believe, did anybody else? Jamila, did you? I thought you did. She volunteered, that's right. So I know there were several volunteers from here, but everything was just fabulous, perfect. You couldn't have asked for better weather. It was just amazing. So everything and all the entertainment was absolutely top notch. I know several of us were there today at the Kellen Foundation. They were going over all of their renovations and everything that they've done. They were gifted a church in order to have a Hope Hub. To me, it's very much like the Family Justice Center type, where it's a one-stop shop where all the organizations are in one area. And I think it's something that is really going to help with those who are experiencing mental health issues, kind of almost a preventive in many aspects. So people can go in there and any type of help they need. They're going to have all different kinds of organizations, and many of them are already there. So that was exciting. And condolences, of course, to the family of Joseph McNeil. I know I was able to stop by there for the funeral, and the outpouring of support for the Joseph McNeil family, and to honor his legacy as being one of the Greensboro A&T 4 was absolutely heartwarming to see. It was like standing room only, just about. So want to give condolences to the family and to all of those who knew him. That's it for me.
Thank you. Mrs. Hoffman?
Just quick again, this is the 11th Folk Festival. Our first three, of course, were the national. And since then, we've been to North Carolina. Just congratulations. We have a wonderful young staff. And they were, I think, very intentional about choice of talent and something there for various generations, with all three headliners Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So, as we've said, the weather was perfect. So, I think perhaps we can begin to hang our hat on music as being another attribute for the city of Greensboro.
Thank you. Mr. Matheny?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In the spirit of festivals, I'd like to also remind everybody that the Greek Festival is the 27th and 28th coming up at the Greek Orthodox Church in, I believe, District 4 in Westridge Road. And so it's always a fun time and very energetic and awesome food. Kudos to the staff of the Folk Festival on planning weather. You're going to have to teach me that on Festival of Lights and Fun Forth. But they did a great job, and I saw a lot of pictures that, were just incredible. And, I've spent some time, in relation to housing and workforce at Goodwill recently, as Mayor Pro Tem said, the Kellen Foundation this morning on, that helps with behavioral health, even tiny houses and the Hope Center, and just trying to figure out how to pull things together. I was in a meeting, which we'll hear about later this week, about a plan for downtown, and then it got railroaded significantly based on some experiences a few folks have had downtown. And working together, we can help improve our community. And I give kudos to Sharon, Ms. Hightower, on John Demery Way. You did whisper that in our ears many times, and your stick-to-itiveness, which is a word, proved to be something that brought us a project that I could easily get behind. And so that's what we got to do.
And asking questions is not a bad thing sometimes, and challenging process is not a bad thing. And so I appreciate you bringing that forward, and that's it.
Mr. Holston?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Also attended the services for Joseph McNeil, Major General Joseph McNeil, and it still amazes me that someone who is a freshman along with the other three of the A&T 4, the Greensboro 4, but Major General Joseph McNeil was 17 years old. Just think about what we were all doing at age 17, and he and the other three were changing the world at such a young age, even after achieving the rank of Major General. It took a lot of achievement, accomplishments, accolades to become a Major General, but we remember him most because of what he did when he was 17 years old. And it's just an encouragement for many in our community to know that no matter what your age is, that you can make a profound impact on our community and the world. Also, I want to talk about John Demery and also the other project out at the Regency Inn. But that John Demery project is kind of that model. It's the one that, I mentioned earlier about the market rate. You're talking about LIHTC. You're talking about down payment assistance. You're talking about a previously underserved community, a revitalization of a property that had been originally developed by Project Homestead. I mean, that's what we're needing to uplift the communities that haven't been uplifted in the past, and that is a beautiful, beautiful project. In the last, I know there've been some comments about the Folk Festival, but when it comes to economic engagement and economic impact, it was a really impressive weekend. We're talking about the Folk Festival that brought so many people to our downtown community. But let's don't stop there, because at the very same time that was going on, you had at the Coliseum, you had the professional bull riding and the fair going on. This is all simultaneous. But let's not forget that also on that Saturday evening, North Carolina A&T played Hampton University. And it was a thrilling double overtime victory. But those four things were happening at the same time. Look at what's happening with Greensboro. We are scaling ourselves up so strongly that it used to be in the past that if you had one of those things, then the city would have shut down. But we handled all four at the same time, and we kept moving without a blip. Greensboro's on the cusp of greatness, and this is an example of it. We have the economic engagement. We're working the housing piece in, and we're also remembering those who have served us so well, Major General Joseph McNeil. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Mrs. Hightower?
Gotta share the mic again. Want to start out, first of all, by saying thank you. I appreciate, your recognition of us doing John Demery. It's long overdue, and I'm excited about that area. But I also know that it's leading to more development. Just today, I got an invitation to McConnell Ridge, and McConnell Ridge is out McLeansville on McConnell Road. It's 4435 McConnell Road. The house, and they're all townhomes. It's a townhome community. The prices are going from $289 to $329. Beautiful design. East Greensboro is being enhanced with good housing, quality housing. We are growing. There's more housing projects coming, not just along McConnell Road, but English Street. Houses being built there. And a lot of our small minority contractors are building these. And that's how we help them economically as well, by developing on lots that the city has had for years. On Gillespie Street, if you go down there right now, there's a house that's been built. No house has been built over there in 30 years. So we are seeing a move that is going to house individuals and stabilize our communities and our neighborhoods. So if you get a chance to join us on September 30th at McConnell Ridge, it's going to be a little small ribbon cutting ceremony out there. And so I would encourage you just to go to the website. You'll be amazed at what it looks like. It's great, and this is the type of what we deserve in East Greensboro, and it's moving along with Mount Zion, of course, somebody mentioned. Also on the 30th, there is a meeting at the East Market Street 7-Day Adventist on 101 West Vandalia of the discolored water. I know that is a concern, and we are concerned. We are addressing it. We are going to make sure that we get it correct, we get it done. It has always been addressed, but this meeting, we will have NCDEQ there. We will have PTWRA, Piedmont Triad Regional Water. Okay, sometimes I get the acronym flip. They will be there as well, as our fire chief will be there to address some concerns as well. It is important to this community and to Southeast and East Greensboro. It is very important. And so we want people to know that that's going to be addressed. If you've got a concern about it, please come. Please ask the question. Please hear. And I'm thankful to Mr. Borchers. Mike Borchers knows water in and out. And I was recently looking at our projects coming along with our water. We're doing Townsend and Mitchell. We're spending millions of dollars to ensure that we continue to have a quality water product. And we're known for a quality water product. I just want people to know that. So those two, that event, please come out. I want to give my condolences to the family of Mr. McNeil. Just imagine how that was at 17. No, I wasn't thinking about that. I was probably just trying to figure out how to get a date, maybe. I don't know, at 17. But surely he has left his mark on the world. And that is something that was done right here. We can't forget that. And finally, on Sunday at 2 o'clock, we are recognizing Bob McAdoo. We are renaming the Bimbo Park the Bob McAdoo Park. And he lives right here in this city, in Bimbo Park. And the history of Mr. McAdoo is astounding, really, truthfully. When he ended his career with the Lakers. And during that time, from 72 to 86, he was a 5-time NBA player, and recognized as an all-star. And then he was an NBA MVP. So we have a lot of talent that has come through this city. And just we're going to recognize him on Sunday by renaming the park. He is excited about it. He graduated Smith High School. And so he's proud to come back home and be recognized by his hometown. And we give him his flowers today, that he smells them. And then we're painting the court. There will be a mural on the court that recognizes him. I will ask anyone coming, you will have to park at the L. Richardson Hospital because the site is constrained and very small. But we have shuttles that will drive you from L. Richardson to Bimbo Park. So please come. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to start off by saying our Assistant City Manager, Andrea Harrell, is a badass. So also on Saturday was the Memorial 9/11 stair climb. Yes. Mary Kay, you were there. Tammy, you were there. Jamila. But Andrea outdid us all. She did the entire stair climb in a dress and high heels.
Yep.
And I think she was just going to do one of them, but then I think she decided to take the challenge and did the whole entire thing.
We have
And
pictures.
We have video, actually. Yes. But I know that was really, really appreciated. And we had a good crowd this year. We talk about never forgetting, but I think that we have forgotten as time goes by. And I think what we have forgotten most of all was the unity that we felt as a country right after that happened. it is so different from the way we are today. And I pray that it doesn't take a catastrophe to bring us all back together. But I just wish we would measure our words and really think about how they impact other people and how we can be better people to have a better city. So the stair climb, it marked 24 years. Next year will be the 25th. And I hope that we'll all show up and that we'll do a couple of steps. You don't have to wear heels. You can wear your sneakers. But this is really important, and it's important that we don't forget.
It is.
Speaking of not forgetting, I want to remind everybody that the primaries, early voting starts on the 18th. There will be 4 early voting sites. Last city council election, only 16.2% of our eligible voters voted. That means that 84% of the city was okay with letting 16% decide how the city was going to move forward. We really, really need to do better than that. So I hope everybody will get out and vote, and that they'll bring a friend. You can always make a day of it. Bring 2 friends. Yes, you can bring as many people as you want. But I think it's really, really important that people get out and vote. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Madam Mayor, I think maybe Mayor Kay, and then depending on what she says.
Were you finished,
I do
Madam
have a
Mayor?
comment.
Sure.
No. I just wanted to say people need to check the early voting schedule very carefully because the courthouse is the only one open Thursday and Friday, the 18th and 19th. And the other ones do not open until the 25th. So I'm just saying check the calendar very, very carefully. And the courthouse is open 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. The other ones will be open, and I can't remember all of those days, but it doesn't open until 10 o'clock. And yeah, check the schedules to make sure.
People can go to the Board of Elections website and see the calendars of what's open and what day.
So I would like to say that this is one of the worst early voting that can be. The vote is being suppressed because there are only 4 early voting sites. One of them is the Coliseum, and the other one is downtown, Burr Mill, and Jamestown. So a question that I got from someone, Mr. City Manager, is because those first 5 days are at the downtown, how can we reserve parking on the street so that people can access the courthouse? Because it's impossible to get downtown. They got to park and walk a long ways, being very disenfranchised for people to go vote at downtown. And how can we reserve those spaces along there from South Elm all the way to Green Street, even on both sides, at least on one side, to make sure people are going to be able to park, because you got the bus that's going to come through there, and then you've got the curbside voting as well. It's going to be there. So it's going to be very limited parking. So this is voters are being disenfranchised, and really, to be honest, it's just for everybody, to be honest, because the senior citizen, if they don't do the curbside, then they got to, or how they going to get there? How they going to get in? And so how can we do that? And I'm going to ask, how can we help with transit as well? Because even going out to the Coliseum, I will say the Coliseum has said no parking fee, so you won't have to pay to park at the Coliseum. But it's in meeting room 4 at the Special Event Center. So we've got to make sure that people even know where to go. You want more than 16%? This ain't going to get it, because this is not fair for this to happen, unfortunately, unless we make sure people know how to get access.
And while we're sharing the mic here, And knowing that that first week is just at the courthouse and parking is already very challenged, can we validate parking in the parking decks so that the parking is free, so that if you aren't doing curbside voting, if you do want to travel down, and I know it's a walk, but still it would make the walk a little better if you, and maybe the turnout a little bit better if that parking was validated, much like it's going to be validated, so to speak, when the Coliseum and Burr Mill and the Jamestown Town Hall open up on the 25th.
Yes, to answer, so the first one, I have a call in to Charlie Collicutt to work with them to make sure that legally we're within, I don't want to get into any type of, conflict with the voting regulations with the county. So I want to coordinate that through him, the first request to blocking the parking. The second two, we can work with Mr. Mason with our transit authority to provide some transportation. We just need to figure out what specifically that would be and what times. I know early voting, people may go at different times, but we can work with that. And then that latter, to validate parking, that can be pretty simple. Again, we just need to find out, who would be parking in those locations. So we'll work with those two. And I'll get you an answer from, as it relates to blocking those lanes. I do completely understand that. And sometimes it can be challenging, especially, if the elderly are trying to park in downtown. So we'll try to figure that out.
Yeah, well, I would almost feel assured that the board, that Charlie and them over there would be glad to have parking open so they can get people coming in. So, but just saying that, if we offer that to our citizens, they know that maybe then they'll be able to it won't be such a challenge, as much of a challenge. So thank you for considering that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Oh, and the water meeting starts at 6 o'clock. I forgot to give that time. It's going to be at 7-Day Adventist. East Market Street, 7-Day Adventist moved over and bought the old Vandalia Presbyterian Church and done a beautiful job over there on the corner. So 101 West Vandalia.
And what day is that?
That's Tuesday, September 30th.
30th. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Mr. City Manager?
I just want to say thank you to council. We have done a lot of work. I want to give a big shout out to Assistant City Manager McCray for the continued effort to ensure that some of these things came to fruition. I know sometimes it can be challenging, but they're providing much needed housing for a number of different dynamics in our community. So those things are big, and thank you, council, for working through those with us. And thank you for everything you do.
Thank you. Madam City Attorney? Nothing. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Moved by Dr. Wells, seconded by Mr. Holston. All in favor, say aye. We're adjourned.
Thank you.